Hey, this is Jeff from Wonder Dog Sports. Welcome to part 3 of my How to Win at Sports Betting video series. In this video, I'm going to share with you why your expectations about sports betting are probably way off and how to set reasonable ones. I'm going to cover how much can you win at sports betting, what are the chances that you'll lose, what's the most likely outcome and range of expected outcomes, how does sports betting compare to other investment options, and what is ROI and why is it important? Guys, I often get asked, so how much can I expect to win at sports betting? It's a great question. And while there isn't a simple one-word answer, we can answer the question by looking at an expected range of outcomes. I want to start by telling you that most people think sports betting is a lot easier than it really is. I mean, the thinking goes, how hard could it be if I follow sports closely? Guys, the reality is that winning at sports betting is very difficult. It's a game of small edges that requires a lot of discipline. Also, most people don't understand how highly variable the results are. While you can certainly win, you can also lose, and lose a lot. That being said, let's try to answer the question of how much we're likely to win. Of course, we can't predict with absolute certainty how many bets we'll win or lose over any period of time. But based on years of prior results, we have some tools that we can use to predict a range. We can take an educated guess as to how much we might win or lose over any number of bets. Based on my past performance over many years, here's what I can tell you. First off, if you have an edge over the odds makers, you will win. Finding an edge is key, and I'll go more into this in an upcoming video when I talk about making good quality picks. How much of an edge do you need? Well, sportsbooks take a commission for the privilege of betting with them. Vegas wasn't built by offering even odds. This commission, often called a vig or a juice, typically runs about 10% of your bet size. So, at a 10% juice, you would have to risk $110 to win $100. To overcome that, you must win more than 52.38% of your bets. Okay, secondly, you can win a lot. Based on my past performance, you can expect to win a lot on average. If past performance repeats, which it's not guaranteed to do, we have about an 80% chance of doing better than the stock market over the course of any given year. On average, with the right edge and discipline, you can actually crush stock market returns. Now, that doesn't mean you can't lose or that you won't have losing days, weeks, months, or even seasons. Which brings me to the third point. You can lose. Just like any investment, there is risk involved. And sports betting consists of both skill and luck. Sometimes we get lucky, other times we get unlucky. And there's no way to avoid that. If you want to gain, i.e. win money at sports betting, you sometimes have to endure pain, losing money. So, in the end, what can we expect? Here's a graph showing the likely expected outcomes from utilizing my picks over the course of an entire year, based on a large number of bets, 3,500 to be exact. For this graph, I used a statistical tool called a Monte Carlo simulation, which allows us to randomize results based on an expected win percentage and an average bet size and repeat many simulations over and over to get a good feel for an expected range of outcomes. And these are based on my past results. In each simulation, we start with a hypothetical $10,000 bankroll. The green bars show the ending bankroll of each simulation, again, betting $125 a game. In the best of the 100 simulations, we end up with $32,000. In the worst, we lose the starting $10,000 bankroll plus another $800. The average of the simulations has us ending up with a bankroll over 18 grand. As you can see, there's a wide range of expected outcomes. This is a high variance endeavor. I'll talk more about variance later in this series. For now, the key point here is to notice that we have a $33,000 swing from the max to the minimum, a swing size of over 3 times our starting bankroll. In 16 of the 100 cases, we lost money on the year, and in 84 cases, we won. We have a 2/3 chance of ending up with a final bankroll between $11,000 and $26,000, and that range equates to a 10% to 160% return on our money. But again, remember, that is not guaranteed. There will be times where the bankroll ends up lower than where it started, as you can see here. Let's talk about ROI. One way to keep track of how much you win or lose is through your ROI, or return on investment. It's also a good way to compare to other investment vehicles. And the way we calculate that is to look at our ending bankroll compared to our starting bankroll. Again, the same way we might look at the amount of money in our stock market account at the end of a year versus what we put in initially. Historically, the stock market has returned an average of 7% per year, meaning that if you invested $10,000 in stocks at the start of an average year, you'd have $10,700 at the end of the year. In sports betting, in the simulations we discussed, the average ending bankroll of $18,000 equates to an 80% ROI, which is 11 times higher than the average stock market return. Now, you're probably thinking, that's amazing. And yes, it is. Sports betting with an edge, when placing many bets as in our example, offers the potential for far superior returns compared to stocks. Then why not put your retirement funds into sports betting? There are at least 3 very good answers to this question, and it's important that you understand them. First, you must have an edge to expect these positive returns. This is very hard. Most sports bettors do not have an edge, and as a result, they lose. Second, even with an edge, we can and will catch bad luck at times and lose money. Even elite sports bettors have bad runs, and you may not want to risk your retirement on that. And third, while the stock market variance is very low, sports betting variance is very high. In the Monte Carlo simulation you recall, we had one outcome in which we lost our entire bankroll and more. Guys, that would never happen if you invested in a broad diversified stock market index, which is hopefully where you have your retirement money. Compared to betting on a broad stock market index, sports betting is massively more high risk, high reward. So it's important that you understand that there's a trade-off here. In order to benefit from higher expected returns, you have to accept higher variance. You have to be ready and able to lose your bankroll, and we can't say the same thing for your nest egg. So let's recap what we've learned. First off, you should expect to win if you have an edge over the sports books, as I have had over the years. But even with an edge, you can and will lose sometimes because sports betting involves a lot of luck, something we can't avoid. As in poker, sometimes you get all your money into the pot with an edge and still lose. How much you win or lose will depend a lot on your luck. If you're betting without an edge, you'll definitely be a loser long term. The more bets you make, the smaller role luck plays. Your results will be more stable and more closely match your actual edge. Over the short term, just a few bets, anything can and will happen, and it can be a roller coaster, guys. This is one reason that I like to spread risk by betting a lot of games. I'll talk more about this later in the series when I do my deep dive into variance. Guys, the key takeaway from this video is this: reset your expectations. Make them more reasonable. Understand the market you are really facing. This is the first step towards becoming a winning sports bettor. Stay tuned for part 4 in this series, in which I'll discuss bankroll management and bet sizing.